little bit lower?
Louder. No.
Louder? Okay, I will try to speak louder, or maybe I can just tune this like this. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Is it okay? Okay, should do. So welcome to this session about Drupal audits. Recently, we identified that, when you go to DrupalCamp sessions, there is not so much session about audits, even though everybody is kind of performing audits from time to time, even though it's not our core business to most of us. So we thought it was interesting to try to explain how we conduct audits in my company, which is Skilled, and what we gain from it. So we came to this session. So my name is David. I'm an architect.
Yes, and I'm Alexey. I'm Drupal developer. Can you hear me well? Can you sleep? Okay. What about now? Oh, yeah, that's great. So I'm just a Drupal developer, and I'm helping David to make audit and some other stuff.
So let's see what we will talk about in this session. So we've been both at Skill for several years, and from time to time we have to perform Drupal audits. Of course, our core business is to do some web development. That's what we do the most of the time, and from time to time, in order to win a customer, a new client, and to check a project that we might take over, we need to perform some audits. And it's because it's not one of our core thing. We didn't really try to make it so efficient in the last years, and I thought that we could improve a few things with setting up a new methodology to perform audits. So we try to answer some key questions like, what do you check when you perform an audit, and how do you check it, and what tools could help you? And at the end, what should your final report say about the audit that you did? Even though audits can be terrible, for some Drupal sites. So let's see more in detail what we will talk about. So at first, we will just summarize the common issues that we face when we conduct an audit. Not only on the technical level, but also on the management and political level. Then we will check what solution we try to put in place in our company in order to make it more efficient to perform audits. Then what result did we have with this new methodology that we tried, how we can make it better, and then some words about the political message of the final report that you will give to the clients after you perform the audit. And then at the end, we will see.
So about the slide, yep. The main point, you very often get project from other companies, right? And you see it's not well done, and the customer asks you to provide some kind of audit. In our case, we try to find some kind of solution which allow us to make audit more like stable and more efficient for customers, and to be more efficient for developers as well. Because audits, it's not only for customer, but it's for developer as well. See? So that was the goal when we tried to build this stuff. Yeah.
Okay, so let's dig right in. We'll start with the common issues that we face when we start an audit, usually. So the first thing is that when you are told that you have to conduct an audit, you have to ask yourself basically who is the audience of the audit. Like, is it the top management that is asking the audit because, I don't know, some deadlines or some quality levels were not attained during the project lifetime? Or is it the business team that is asking for you to conduct the audit because some other reason, because their business requirements were not met during developments? Basically, audit can mean different things for different people. According to who you talk to, you have to put that into consideration about how you will conduct the audit and what you will say at the end in the final report. second thing, audit can be about a lot of different things. By that I mean that performing an audit is like building a website. Just building a website can be a tons of different things, and performing an audit can be about also a ton of different things. So what is usually not done at the pre-sales stage of the audit is that to really define the topics that should be addressed during the audit and what the client really expects from you at that point. So conducting an audit can be about different Drupal objects or about different themes, I can say. And it's really not usually defined at the beginning of the audits. It kind of should.
Yes, I want to say about scopes. In terms of developer, it gives you opportunity to see some different architecture. You may argue, you may not be agree with this solution, but still, it's a great opportunity to see how people build, how people solve issues or build some features and so on. So it's all about to get some knowledge as well. It's not only about customer, but as a developer, you may grow, see, and it's not about judging. See, judging someone's code.
So third thing about why we should try to rationalize and make audit more efficient is that usually, because it's not one of the core things that we do, in a daily business day, we did not define yet before that a proper way and a uniform way to conduct the audits. Like we would give the audit to one of the project manager, and he will kind of perform the audit in its own way. And we thought that it would be beneficial for everybody to try to rationalize this and uniform the practices of how actually we perform the audits, because different ways of conducting the audit can bring us to different results in the end, and we actually don't want that. We actually want to standardize the way that we will give back the report to the customer. Fourth point, often at the beginning of the audit, we usually try to set up some kind of local environment that tries to reproduce the production environment of the clients in order to spin up the site and just be able to browse it and to check some functionality and how it's done and go through, the structure menu of Drupal and see the content types, the vocabularies and all this stuff. And actually, it's consuming a lot of time to make that happen at the beginning, because it's hard to reproduce the environment of the client, which could be really different. Maybe it's running on the Windows OS server, maybe it's running on Azure, or maybe it's running on different things that it's going to be hard to reproduce locally and to get the same behavior. So that's a really bad point, and we always lost time to spin up the site at the beginning. And then fifth and last point about the typical issues that we face. Redacting reports and giving back the result of the audits to the customer is always kind of done differently as well, depending on the project manager who gets the audit done. And we also found it damageable. And we also think it's a good idea to uniform the way that you give back the results of the audits to the customer.
So basically, I just, want to add some notes. Speaking about losing time on audit setup, as you know, a customer usually expect results which are related to his production environment, and developers usually use such tools like Docker, some other virtual machines, and so on to build local infrastructure. See, that's why when a project come for audit, it's difficult to reproduce production environment on your local machine. That's why we will not go this way. It means that we don't need work inside to make audit. And why, we will explain in next slides.
Yeah. So all of these reasons about the issues that we typically faced when starting an audit made us to reconsider the way that we actually perform the audit and pre-sale it, and into a more uniform and standardized way, so that all of our company would do exactly the same and we perform the audit in the same way. And in order to, improve the quality of the audit, the results, and improve the quality of the report that will be given to the customer. So that's kind of the issue that we faced, and we tried to find an answer to these issues by creating some kind of new methodology about performing audits. So, what exactly is our methodology for audits? First of all, we started this kind of thing with our typical project development projects. Now we pre-sale with a Mindmap, which clearly maps the functionality of a website. And we've been doing that for a few months now on our development projects. And we thought it would be a good idea also to do it for audits projects. Because when you talk to a client and he's asking you to perform an audit, he actually doesn't know really what should be in the audit and what scope it should have. So we use the Mindmap to clearly define the themes that we could audit and typical user stories that are related to those themes. And thanks to that, we are able to just show the clients what we could, conduct the audits on, and we can just stick the cases together and agree in agreement about the scope of what we will do. This way, there is no more surprise at the end of the audit about, you didn't do this, and I thought that maybe you would do it, but no, you didn't. So this way, everybody is on the same page about what we've done. Another big advantage of this mind mapping is that it clearly states the themes that we could audit and what actually in those themes that we could have a look at. And it's going to be really, really useful for us because, an audit is always kind of looking at the same thing, but it's different. So it's the same, but different, So we thought that it would be a good idea to actually write down the list of acceptance criteria by theme and by user story. So for example, on the theme information structure, you would look at the user story on the content type, and on the content type, you will always look at the same thing. You will look at the fields that are defined in the content type, and does they make sense regarding the business of the client, and does the type of the field that were developed make sense to what data it should have? Like, for example, if you see some text fields that name is date, it should not be obviously a text field, it should be some kind of date field. And all this kind of acceptance criteria, we just wrote it down to make it really formal and more clear about what the developer should look at when auditing this part of the website. And we did that for all of the Mindmap user story that we defined previously.
So basically speaking, Mindmap is just like a starter for us to build a well-known way. And it's like some kind of bridge to GitLab and tasks and issues you work with every day. That's one thing. And second thing, for customer, it's great because he can see like visually by eyes what kind of topics will be conducted, right?
Addressing?
Yes. And the last thing that when we transferred this mind map into GitLab issues, speaking about acceptance criteria, we divided all these topics in a smaller one. So the small topic is, for small topic, you may easily define acceptance criteria. So it means that we try to take a look on common things and detect possible mess inside common things before we get all picture for project.
Yeah, so as Alexey said, we use GitLab as our main project tool to, like do web development and stuff. And we use it also to perform audits. And the way we use it is that we use the code repository to store the client's, days. And this way, it's really easy for us to communicate between the project manager and the developer who connects the audits to, show what's inside the PHP files and, make links to some lines on the file and add comments to it and everything. So basically, the sources are in the code repository. Then we create one task for each user story within the teams that we define that we audit. It means that there will be one task for content types auditing, another task for 5 types auditing, another task for page and blog layout. Basically, it really splits the audit in several tasks that are really, really precise about what should be done. And this way, we can really scale the conducting of the audits. So basically, we have, usually the audits that we did this way had maybe 25 tasks. It means that if you split them properly, you can have 25 developers conducting the audit at the same time and have the audit done in like 3 hours.
And even so, you can give this task to newbie developers, because if newbie developers has totally clean acceptance criteria, he may just get some new knowledges, making small audits of small tasks and grow as a developer. Yes, I know usually newbie doesn't make audit, but still with this structure, it's not a problem actually.
Exactly. So basically, when you have to perform an audit, you will take the best developer that you have, who is senior developer for like 10 years, and you will ask him to have a look to the code base and find out what's going on. But he will do it, his way and look at the thing that he has in mind and maybe forgot some other things. With this methodology, because all of the acceptance criteria are written down, everybody can actually conduct the audit. Even a junior developer can take a task and check what should be looked at for this task and, write his own report for this scope. And then you can have 20 developers doing that. And then you can really improve the velocity of your audit. So we have tasks, really, really well defined, really, really splitted and as small as possible. And because of that, we also have merge requests. So basically, for each task, we will create one branch that the developer will work in, just as a typical web development project. But this way, when the developer gives back the results of the audits, he will write in Markdown in a file that will commit to the branch of the task, and then we can create merge requests. And this allows us to really detail the result of the task and what was audited in this task. And thanks to that, we can use GitLab comments to have discussions about the typical line of the report that was written. And I can say like, hey, Alexey, I don't really understand this line that you wrote. Can you be a little more go into detail, and can you rephrase it, and can you have a look deeper about this thing because it's crucial for the client? So we use GitLab and branches and tasks and merge requests to make that happen, so that it's really allow for discussion between the project manager and the developer. And then we can really build the final answer of the audit together. So basically, a few screenshots about what it means. We use the GitLab Wiki repository to create a nice wiki. Like I said, this is the teams that we showed to the client in the Mindmap. So we have information structure, technical architecture. So information structure will be more about typical Drupal objects. So like content types, blog types, I don't know, pages and blog layout and other things. Technical architecture will be more about the global transversal topics of the website. So like how is multilingual settings, set, and how is it managed? And what about caching? What about responsiveness? all these high-level topics will be dealt with in the technical architecture team. Then we have performance. That is more about has the website checked, the easy steps that are usually found for improving performance on a website, like, setting up a TTL for the cache lifetime and enabling aggregation of CSS and JavaScript files, all this kind of thing. About maintainability, we will look deeper about the custom code that was written in the project. Global compliance would be just easy checks as well about, like, do you have a cookie banner, on the website, or do you have accessibility standards met according to business requirements and everything. And infrastructure would be more about hosting about the website. Of course, it's hard to really give an opinion on that when you look at the code base. So for these parts, the client would need to give us documentation or access to the production environment. So sometimes we don't do that part because it's not, in scope. But when it do, it's mapped.
But actually, when you have clean acceptance criteria for all these topics, it means that you, basically speaking, you may just take some YAML files and check content type without installing Drupal, because you can read that 10 liners and understand that, okay, it's name it like, I don't know, it should be news, but name it articles, so it's wrong. And use 30 fields, but should use only 2 fields, something like this. See?
So the theme part of the wiki, then we have when you go into one of the themes, so here we have it with the information structure theme, go inside of it, and then you list all the, user story that you want to check in this theme according to the Mindmap, so everything is related. And you really define what this theme, should be about in a client perspective. Then we go into like the content type user story. And it's written like this. So some kind of user story that you typically write. So as a client, I want to make sure that content types are smartly structured and used in relevant cases so that the content can be easily published, administered, and displayed. And actually, this is the list of acceptance criteria that we will look at when we perform the task about this user story.
So, yes, I'm sorry. About acceptance criteria, as you can see, it's not just for developers, it's just human requirements for usual normal requirements for managers, for customers. If they can easily use site, you can administrate content types, content, and so on, fields, media, and so on. And if you check, you will see that here we don't have special developers acceptance criteria. Just like about, can you take a look if this content type's named OK? And can you please check if administrator has enough permissions to create fields, or he must not do it, and so on. So, and all this comes from Mindmap. And basically, when we make a review of these things, finally we will get smell of the project in general, which goes back to Mindmap, and customer can see that, okay, content management is not well enough, but custom code is really good and performance is really good. So he may choose, and it's like some kind of balance for customer to do next. So to rework everything from scratch or just maintain what he has.
So this is an example of the content type user story. And we wrote this kind of acceptance criteria list for every user story, every little topic that we could conduct the audit to. And because of that, it means that when you create a task to perform it on this topic, the developer knows exactly what he has to look at during performing the audit. And because of that, you can give the task to junior developers, and it's really straightforward. And we try to build this list of acceptance criteria with Alexey, and we will iterate on it based on the audits that we do and how what we will have.
even if you work with PM for several years, your audit report might look strange for him and may not be so, how to say, so self-explained or maybe not so usable for customer needs. So we just try to find a way where everybody will be happy. Drupal developer will know what exactly he needs to do, and project manager will get exactly a report in format he wants. See, and at the top of this, we have GitLab, and every task goes through merge request, so you have a way to discuss in comments and so on. We will show you a bit later.
So basically, some few more screenshots. This is the task template that we use for conducting audits. So basically, all the tasks is doing is just referring to one of the user stories that we wrote previously with the acceptance criteria, and we just say, hey, developer, can you check this? And that's it. And this is the scope of the task. It is very small, so it can be delegated to junior developers and stuff, and we can spin up many developers at the same time, updating different things. When it's field, it looks like this. We have an output for task resolution that we created like a template, Markdown, that the developer is going to use, and he's going to basically use the acceptance criteria that we listed previously in the user story, and just check them. So first, acceptance criteria content types are not excessively numerous and redundant between each other. Are they? The developer will say, okay, they are redundant and excessive, or they are not, and why they are, and how. So basically, it really provides guidelines to the developer about what he should check and what it should provide results for. And after the acceptance criteria, we have the evaluation phase and the recommendation phase. So basically, based on what the developer found out about the website, he will give it's some kind of raw evaluation about what he thinks about it and what we recommend in the final audit about this topic.
Actually, speaking about these templates, there are 4 parts. We don't have the last one.
Oh.
Yes. First thing, the result implementation of project allow project manager to get exact answers and transfer these answers to those format he wants. It can be PDF, it can be, I don't know, presentation, video, or even pictures, I don't know. And in recommendation part, that's a part for developer where you can share your thoughts. You can share your, I don't know, treats and maybe something else. You may write anything you want, and that's more for project manager, not much for customer.
Exactly. See? Basically, when the developer conducts the audit about this user story, so he's going to write down all of this, and then the project manager is going to look the merge request with this markdown file with the result of the audit for this topic, and then we can start to interact with the developer who conducts the audit for this task. So you can add comments using GitLab UI to say, hey, this I don't really understand, so please can you be a little bit more specific about what you found out and what you evaluated for this topic, and can you try to rephrase it? So we can really affine the answer of the audit for each topic. So like I said, we have themes, then we have user stories with acceptance criteria, then from that we create tasks, and then from the task, we create branches for the developer to work on, and we create merge requests for the developer to commit his markdown file with the answers. So another thing that we set up with this new methodology is we try to use much more automated tools to have a good, insight of the code quality.
Yeah, there are a lot of tools, and actually a lot of developers use different tools. We try to find, not say the best one, but that which bring us a good results. So it's basically code sniffer, mess detector, stun, and so on. So I don't think we need to explain something because it's a huge topic for every tool. Basically speaking, I want to say that every tool use a small Docker container, which is built just with exact this tool. So it means that I run container, check code, shut down container, and I don't need to install anything or so. See, that's good.
So one of the other things that we try to set up in place with this methodology is that when we conduct the audits, we do not try to actually spin up the sites. So like I said earlier, in the typical issue that we meet, reproducing the production site locally can take time and complexity, and is it really useful? The answer is no, not that much, because we are all very skilled developers, and we can have a look to config files and to custom code directly. So actually, when we perform an audit now, we don't look at the content, we don't look at the data, we just look at the configuration and the code.
It's case of Drupal 8, but it was a bit strange for me when we started this audit to not install site and to not get a working site. But I'd say in a few days I totally changed my mind. It's very fast and very, very comfortable as a result.
Yeah, because in most of the audits that we perform, the actual side of the website that is not so good and that brings challenges is often the custom code. So you don't need to have the website running to look at the custom code. You just have to go in it and do some grep and do some checking at the code itself. You don't need the data to have a look to it. And with Drupal 8 and the YML configuration file, it's easy to do. And if it's a Drupal 7 site, you can have a look to the feature files themselves. So yeah, that's what we do right now. And the good thing about this is that you save time about not spinning up the website locally, and then you also automatically GDPR compliant because GDPR law.
Yes. You don't need database, all that user data and so on, and the customer may not care about database at all. See? So
yeah. Giving the database to the team that will perform the audit can be an issue about like confidentiality, about personal data and stuff. So we just completely cut about that, and we said to the client, no, we don't need the database, no need to worry about it, nothing will leak, and we just have a look at the code. So really quickly, we also noticed that every project manager that were connected to audits were kind of restructuring and redoing the final, report that we give to the client. So we also try to standardize that using a template for reports, and we always now use the same table of contents. So summary, rating the team, and recommendation action. And actually, the detail of the audits doesn't appear here. We have them as axes for technical people to look at. But when you give back the result of the audit, the top management, they don't care about like the details of what you found out in the code. They just want the high level picture and what they should do with that. So we go straight to summary and recommendation and actions to be done, and that's it. And then as an axis, we go into detail for people that want, but it's not a primary target usually. So summary about the methodology, really quickly. So we said with Mindmap that helps to show the clients what could be audited and to be an agreement about that. We write down acceptance criteria about all the things that you could audit. So that's when you actually perform the audits, you know what to look at, and it doesn't take time to think again about it. And it can be given to lots of developers in parallel, even junior developer. Distribute works meaningfully. So no database used. Product manager can also do some tasks, because sometimes the documentation about hosting or about functional requirements is in another language than English. So developer cannot usually conduct these tasks. So it's the role of the project manager to do them. So we actually share the work more meaningfully. And then you also plan time for discussion, like back and forth discussion about the detail of what the developer found out and wrote down in the Markdown task results. Conduct your audit, so look at code, not content. Don't spin up the site. Use automated tools within Docker so that you don't install everything every time. and then use your CLI key. So use grep, use AG, use VM to look at the code, and not the website UI. Deliver the results, so task templates, branches, merge requests, comments, and that's it. Format of the reports, so we start from a generic template, and we always provide the same table of content, going straight into recommendation as fast as possible, because that's the key point that the client is actually interested in. So what results with this new methodology? Actually, everything was better. We performed a few audits this way, and we did them in a more managed time, frame. I also gained some knowledge from what we audited and how, it was done, and it actually helped me to grow as a project manager during the audits. So we don't have the data responsibility of, possible leakage because we don't use the database. Better guidelines and communication between the developers that conduct the audits and the project managers. We set up the base for using automated tools during the audit. And this is one of the key points because in the future, we will try to automate a lot of different things. Not only using PHP MD and other tools like PHP CS and stuff, but we can actually parse automatically, config files and stuff to bring out directly the reports. So it's planned for the future. Some downsides still. It can be in certain approach, developers and clients can be perplexed about not having the database to spin up the site and stuff. But once everybody is used to it, it's actually okay. Sometimes it's actually hard to conduct an audit if you don't have the content in the database. Like if you audit a Drupal site that is not using feature, how do you do? I don't know. We did not have this case yet, but it's going to be hard for sure. At least we have custom code to look at. It's really hard to find out what is the meaning and the key points of automated reports that are generated by tools. Like if you use PHPMD, it will create a report that is 2,000 lines.
100 pages.
Yeah, and what do you take from those 2,000 lines? It's hard to, take off what is not meaningful to the website and, just find a message from all these reports that are a little bit verbose. And writing final report, it's still, not so easy because you have to be careful about a few things.
Speaking about downside, it's the first thing I felt. It was I was not agree with this way. But as I said, in a couple of days, I have changed my mind because I understand that we can build our simple way to make audit, and it means that I should not spend 3 days trying to understand what developers try to build, with this acceptance criteria and so on. And the best thing that all these tasks results, when you go with merge request, even other developer can review your audit results. Not only PM can leave comments, but other developers are totally free to review. That's, I guess, a good thing.
Yeah. So what about the particular message of the audit report? So basically, typically when the client asks for an audit, it's kind of having reasons for it, maybe he has doubts about the quality of the website that has been developed. Maybe he wants to just change his subcontractors and development partners. And it's easy to fail into this trap of just condemning the developers that, developed a bad website, if we can say that.
Just stop judging.
Yeah. And so let's try to not fall into this trap, because what it is about is it's about being able to learn from someone else's mistake for your own purpose. And then when you look at some code and that people have made mistakes when writing it and made some bad decisions about the architecture of the website, you can say, hey, maybe we kind of did that on some of our website, and maybe we should have a look at it better because now I understand that it's not good and why. So it kind of helps you to grow as a developer or as a product manager. And then what we actually try to do is to provide some meaningful feedback to the development team that's actually coded the website in the first place. Because what will happen is that most of the time, when you give back the final report to the client, he will also share it with the IT department and the developer team that actually developed the website. And what they will look at when they get the report is how meaningful and how helpful what you found out can be used by them to improve the conic standards and to get better job the next time. So basically, I think it's really important to just not condemn the work of other people, because it's possible that you will work with these people someday in the future, and you will be really grateful if then at that time you provide them with some meaningful way to improve the quality of work. And they're also Drupal developers, so we are Drupal developers. Actually, that's part of the community. So this is how we grow as a community together. We try to help each other, and we try to give us meaningful feedbacks that are constructive. And that's why we try to put it into our final, audit reports.
We don't have surprises. Okay, the only thing I want to say that we prepared this joke 3 weeks, but I forgot it. So I say another thing. If project looks like a shit, if smells like a shit, if it's built like a shit, maybe it's a duck.
What it means is that, when you audit a website, it's important to take into perspective the environment and the constraint that were at that time of developing the website for the development team. So maybe they had time constraint, maybe they had like weird requirements for the clients, and maybe they had not the right experience to do Drupal stuff, like like complex stuff like commerce and stuff. So you have to really put that into perspective about how the website was developed. And it gives us like more flexibility about the message that we want to deliver to the client. And it's not just all black and white, it's always gray, and there's always reason for people doing like bad code and stuff, and you have to really dig into those reasons to make the answer of the audit meaningful. Quickly, of course, Skill is awesome, and we hire tons of developers worldwide. So
that's not a joke. That's true.
Yeah, that's not a joke. So basically, if you're interested, you can talk to me and go to Earthstone on the left side of the main room, and discuss and see what we can do together. Do you have any questions? I think we have a microphone somewhere.
Yeah, I'm so sorry, but we don't have any time to ask our guests. I'm sorry. You can ask them in the main hall, and now let me thank them and give out them special diplomas.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much for attending this session.
Дякую.
Well, thanks. So please don't be shy and find us, here or in the next minutes.